My name is Gavin Evans, and this is my ranking of Scott Beck and Bryan Wood's directed movies from worst to best. And this video will have spoilers, so there's your warning. But these guys are interesting writers because I love A Quiet Place. That movie is tense and thrilling and well acted and well directed, but at its core, it's a movie about family and it is quite emotional. So they really knocked it out of the park with that one. But then we get to The Boogeyman, and I actually like that movie, but their script is the biggest issue. Rob Savage, as a director, saves it and he makes the movie tense and atmospheric and scary, and I think it's a really fun movie, but it should have been written better. And then we get to their directed movies, and most of these suck. So let's begin by talking about their worst movie, and it's Nightlight. I watched this movie a few weeks ago and I didn't even bother filming a review because I just had nothing to say. It's a generic found footage movie. If you've seen a movie like this, then you've seen a better version of this movie. It just felt like a Blair Witch knockoff the entire time, and it is a very short movie, but it feels so long. It's never scary, it's never effective, it's never interesting. This movie is just an abysmal mess. Their second worst movie is 65, and I was actually very excited for this movie because I want more dinosaur movies outside the Jurassic Park franchise. And I loved the premise and the fact that the ticking clock element is the asteroid coming down to destroy Earth is such a good idea. But this movie is as bland and as forgettable as they come. This movie just is never thrilling or exciting, it just constantly sucks. So that's why it's their second worst. Their third worst is Heretic, and I was very excited for this movie, but I did not like it. Hugh Grant is good, and I like the note this movie begins on, where the two girls are having a conversation, and you can tell they're curious, but you can also tell they're limited by their world view. And the first half of this movie has some interesting moments. Well, Hugh Grant is comparing religion to Monopoly and music. I thought that was fascinating. Well, he talks about mythological figures. I thought that was interesting. But the two girls never push back against it, so the movie feels very one sided. Like, I wanted more conversation, I wanted more arguments. But then we get to a point where Hugh Grant writes belief and disbelief on two different doors. And the girls have to choose one of them. And from that point on, the movie takes a nosedive in quality. Like, I like the look of the basement area and the different rooms we see later on, but just everything with the prophet just felt so out of place. It felt like a completely different movie and it just took me out completely. And it's just not as smart as it thinks it is. And that scene, well, they get introduced to the prophet eats the pie, the prophet dies, and then Topher Grace knocks on the door and they try to get matches. that scene just dragged and dragged and dragged. There's no urgency, there's no tension, it's just dullness. And then the one prophet comes back to life, even though it's different. And I guess it said this isn't real, which turns out to be a big reveal later on, but I'm just like, I couldn't understand a word she said. And that's coming from a guy with a speech impediment. And then Hugh Grant kills the one girl and it has no weight, and then he tries to convince the other girl that she wasn't a real person, and I'm like, what is this movie doing? Like, it's just making one baffling decision after another. And then the other girl finds a new area to go to, and one door is locked with the bike locks. And it's supposed to be this grand reveal, but now I'm just thinking back to earlier in the movie that Hugh Grant goes down into the basement, goes down, goes outside, and grabs the bikes, puts them inside, locks that door all within like 3 or 4 minutes. Yeah, sorry, I call bullshit. Did not feel believable whatsoever, and even if he did, it's like, oh no, he locked her in. But the movie treated it as such a big reveal. And then, what even happens next? They talk about, shit, I just saw this movie and I'm already forgetting it. But pretty much it turns out religion is all about control. And I'm like, oh, of course it took the Hollywood approach. Like, I'm not religious, but I was raised in a Christian household, and religion, I think, is very fascinating, and it's something I honestly struggle with. And I think it would have been a good twist if Hugh Grant just wanted to believe, but he couldn't because of these reasons he came up with himself. That would have been a much interesting character than whatever this guy was. But yeah, turns out religion's about control, and then she tries to escape, but then it's pointless, and then Hugh Grant kills her, and then the dead girl comes back to kill Hugh Grant, but then it turns out this girl is still alive, and then she escaped through some window. What? This movie was a mess. I know I'm on an island with it, but I really hated this movie. But the best movie is Haunt. This movie is just a great premise of these friends going to a haunted house, and they're just like, wait, how much of this is real? Because this is really off-putting, and by the time they realize what's actually happening, it's too late. And it's just a movie that escalates ever so perfectly. It's a movie that is really well directed and really tense and bloody, and you've just got constant doubt in your mind throughout. Like that one clown they hang around with. Like, can they trust him? And then even the parts where they have to go into the coffin and close it, or they have to go into the tunnels, or they have to go down the slide. It's just constantly unnerving, and it's just a movie that I thought was a really fun movie, but also really effective, and Katie Stevens did a really great job. So, yes, this movie just, I think is completely underrated. I would have liked to see it become a franchise, and fingers crossed it still can one day, but out of the creepy haunted house movies, this is one of, if not the best. It's between this and Hell House LLC, if that counts. But, yeah, just a really fun, brutal movie. But anyways, that's my ranking of their filmography. What's yours? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Stay tuned for more videos soon. And Gavin, out.